What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Cole Mize with ColeMizeStudios.com, bringing you another segment of Be a Better Rapper Now. And today I want to talk to you about this little thing called bar sheets. And if you're new to my channel and you don't know what in the world I'm talking about, let me just break it down for you real quick and explain what that is to you. So most rappers, when they are writing their lyrics, it'll look something like you see right here on your screen. Okay. And typically as rappers, we'll tend to put one line on or one sentence or one thought on each line. A lot of times whatever we're rhyming with will be whatever's here on the end of the bar. And that's how we write our lyrics. And this is a good start, but there's a lot of problems that will come to you because of this when you're going back and trying to remember how you rapped everything. Because here there's no indication of where you take breaths at. There's no indication of how you actually begin every single bar within the music. And it's my best recommendation that however you write your lyrics is to write it almost in kind of like you would write sheet music. And what I mean by that is you want visually what you're looking at to actually represent what you're doing musically within each bar. Okay, now that may be kind of confusing to you right now. Do not worry, I got you covered. It's going to make a lot more sense here in just a moment within this video tutorial. Okay, but bar sheets look something like this. Okay, so look, you see how this looks right here, right? This is how bar sheets look. Okay, now let me just break down and explain what you're looking at here. Okay, so at the very top here, you see a place where you can put in your artist name, song title, tempo, the date. That's pretty self-explanatory. But then you'll see underneath that, you see verse 1. So it's telling you, okay, this is which part of the song that is right here within this song right here. And then right underneath that, you'll see where it says bar. So it's keeping up with your bar count, what bar you're actually on in whatever section of the song that you're on. And then you'll see the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4. Now these are telling you which beat within each bar that you're in. Okay, and so every syllable that's within each beat section will lie right here in its correct spot, so you know which beat section all your syllables are literally supposed to lie within. Okay, and it'll also be an indication of what syllables land on each of these beat sections. So one thing to keep in mind is a beat isn't just one moment within a bar. A beat is actually a section. You can fit multiple syllables within a beat section, but there's only one syllable that lands on that beat. Okay, there's a part where you land on a beat, and then there's space between after you land on the beat and when you land on the next beat. So the way that we rap, the way that we flow isn't just about what lands on beat, but it's also about what is actually landing in between the beats. Okay, so the bar sheets will help you keep track of all of that. It's also helping you keep track of your breaths, but you'll see these little beads right here, right? Those are breaths. This is super important because I don't know about you, but hey, if you don't take a breath when you're supposed to, you run out of breath and your voice ends up sounding like garbage, which isn't good. That's not what we want. So where you take a breath at is just as important as where you're rapping at, because where you take pauses and breaths has a lot to do with how your flow sounds. It also preserves your voice and ensures that your vocal delivery, your rap voice, sounds as good as it possibly can. Okay, so this is all critical because you can miss one breath and it can totally throw what you're doing apart. Okay, so that's that. And then if you look to the right side here, you'll see this little SYL, and that's just short for syllables. And so when you're trying to match your cadences up with lyrics, this can kind of help you keep track of the amount of musical notes that you're using or the amount of syllables that you need to match whatever cadence that you're going for. So it's not a thing you have to use, it's just there to help you out. Okay, so now that you have a brief overview of the bar sheets, I'll just scroll down a little bit here, and you'll see down here is also the hook one. Okay, and that's typically hooks are 8 bars, so that's demonstrated here as well. And you may notice on both of these sections that there's an empty bar before the verse. Okay, and the reason that is because you won't always begin every verse on beat number 1 of the bar. It's actually more common for us rappers to do what I call leading in to the bar or leading into the verse, which means you'll technically begin at the end of the bar before it, either on the 4th beat or on the 3rd beat, around that area. And so I actually intentionally put an empty line up here to help you keep track of how do you begin each verse. Are you beginning on the very first beat? Are you leading into it? Or in this case, in my case right here, I'm actually coming in right after the first beat. And I'm gonna play some audio to demonstrate what this is actually, these structured lyrics are actually demonstrating here in just a moment. And the same thing applies to at the very end of a verse, okay? There's an empty space here because sometimes we won't end a verse on, let's say, the 4th beat. We may let it lead over into the next bar, the very ending of the next bar, which may fall into the hook section and things of that nature. So I wanted to leave that there for you so you can remember how everything begins as well as ends within your verses and your hooks, okay? So enough of the setup. Let me let you hear the actual lyrics, the actual rapping that these lyrics are demonstrating, and I can show you the importance of and show you how detailed this stuff is. And again, this will, there's 3 main benefits of having structured lyrics. One, it's going to help you keep track of your breaths, where you're taking those moments of breathing, not just for the sake of breathing, but we also take pauses or breaths to give our flow a certain feel, okay? So it keeps track of that. Again, it's going to help you remember your flow, because if you can remember exactly how you begin every verse or how you transition between one bar to the next bar within your verse, it's going to help you remember your flow. This is very difficult if you don't structure your lyrics, because you're completely relying on your memory. And that may work good for that day, but if you come back 2 or 3 months later and you never recorded those vocals, then God bless you. That's all I can say, because there's been times where I come back and I completely forget how my flow was to lyrics, and man, that sucks, okay? And I don't want that to happen to you. And this will help you recall that if you haven't recorded your vocals, or at least a rough draft version of your vocals yet, okay? And the other thing that this helps you keep up with is rhyme schemes, So going back to the demonstration of unstructured lyrics, we typically put our rhyme schemes at the end of our lines here and stuff like this. But sometimes this can be deceptive, because what makes a rhyme scheme really tight is it needs to land in the same musical time. So for an example here, this will let you know for sure where your rhyme is landing at in musical time, not just where you rhyme at on a sheet of paper. It's where you rhyme it within the music. That's what gives you a really strong rhyme scheme. So for an example, sometimes you may put a word here at the end of a line, but musically you may actually be saying that word at the very beginning of the next bar, So it's important to know where your rhymes are actually landing, so you can program your next rhyme to land in that same spot, so they have a really strong connection with one another, okay? So let me just let you listen here to a demonstration of what this sounds like, okay? So the instrumental I'm going to be using is also available on my beat store, so if you're digging it, feel free to head over there and copy yourself a copy of it. I'll also place a link in the video description, or you can just click the I here. But let's just check this out real quick and I'll talk through it, okay? I've been compared to just about everything from Steve-O to Jay-Z to Eminem and in between. People constantly asking my ethnicity. If you locked up on my skin tone, I'm Cherokee. Listen critically to every single George Costanza. I got that cop flow to make you put your hands up. Brush them haters off of your shoulders like they some dandruff. Dumping on the beat and I ain't even wearing Pampers. Okay, so let me just focus. I'm just gonna focus in on the first bar just to demonstrate the importance of what I'm talking about here. There's so many subtleties that make a rap work. I mean, down to milliseconds. It's really that tight. I'm just gonna loop this first bar right here, and I want you to pay attention. When the way that I begin rapping this verse, I do not begin rapping on the first beat. I come in right after the first beat, Okay, that's super critical. Also, pay attention to where I breathe after I say compared to. Also notice how come on compared comes right before the second beat. I say paired on the second beat. I say just on the third beat. I say ev on the fourth beat. All right, just pay attention to that. Check this out. I've been compared to just about everything from. I've been compared to just about everything from. I've been compared to just about everything from. All right, now let me take this back to the unstructured lyrics of how this may look if it was unstructured. So on the unstructured version right here, notice how from is on the second bar right here. All right, but in the structured version, I have from here, because this is actually where it's really landing at in musical time. This is literally one bar. I've been compared to just about everything from. And this will help you understand how, you know, certain words you may not say all within one bar, or a certain phrase you may not say within one bar. And that's a very important thing to remember when it comes to rapping. You're not supposed to be constrained within bars. You don't have to fill and cram in a full thought within one bar. You can take as many bars as you like to complete a thought. And once again, this helps you keep track of all of that. Okay, let me just loop 2 bars here. Let's check this out. I've been compared to just about everything from Steve-O to Jay-Z to Eminem and in between. I've been compared to just about everything from Steve-O to Jay-Z to Eminem and in between. So if you look here, I don't take a breath on bar 2 at all. I don't take a breath until the very end of bar 3. If I miss this second breath right here, I'm screwed. I'm totally screwed. I guarantee you I cannot rap all the way up until the very end of this third beat right here if I miss this one breath right here. That's how critical this is. All right. In rapping, we go on these things I like to call sprints, where we don't take a breath for a while. And you need to set yourself up for that. You need to get enough air to let you survive those sprints. I'm just going to play this 4-bar section now. I've been compared to just about everything from Steve-O to Jay-Z to Eminem and in between. People constantly asking my ethnicity. If you locked up on my skin tone, I'm Cherokee. And one thing you'll notice too is at the end of bar number 3 right here, you'll notice I put a B there because that's where I begin a breath. And you'll also notice that carries over into the beginning of bar number 4. And that's because that's literally what's going on here. Let me just play these back for you. And so this is telling you, okay, this is where the breath begins, and this is it carries over. You breathe, you hold that breath until the very beginning of bar number 4 right here. Check it out. People constantly asking my ethnicity. If you locked up on my skin tone, I'm Cherokee. People constantly asking my And again, if I just loop the very first half of bar number 4, you can hear that breath. If you locked up on my skin, if you locked up. It is subtle, I'm telling you. I'll come in right after the beat. I don't come in directly on the beat. If you locked up on my skin, if you locked up on my skin, if you locked up on my skin, if you locked up on my skin. And so these things are super subtle. These are hard to tell until your ears get more finely tuned. But they're super critical, because if you can't tell these things, if you're not keeping track of these things, you won't be able to rap your verse the same exact way over and over and over again. And that's something a lot of rappers struggle with, is consistency. Okay, and so bar sheets is to help you rap your verses, your hooks, everything consistently, and keep track of what's going on, because you don't want your verses to be like a shot in the dark or guessing work. You need to be able to keep track of all these things, and so that way it's not a mystery. You know, and like, again, this is why I was saying earlier, this is kind of like writing your own sheet music, in a way, because you're making notations of what you're actually doing musically, because a lot of people don't realize rappers are musicians. It's just not obvious because our instrument is our mouths. Okay, but yeah, so this is a good overview of what bar sheets are and why they're important. Now, let me also just show you another tip real quick of when you get your bar sheets and stuff like that. Or let me first talk to you about how to get these bar sheets. You may be wondering, hey Cole, how can I get access to these? So if you're on my mailing list, you'll already have them automatically. If you're not already on my mailing list, then make sure you join my mailing list, which there'll be a link at the end of the at this video. So stay tuned to that, where you can join my mailing list, and you get a lot of free goodies when you join my mailing list, such as my ebook and practice beats, and then also these beautiful bar sheets. And these bar sheets have actually been available, but I just revamped them and upgraded them, and I think they're even better than they ever have been before, because in the past you couldn't just easily edit them like you can now. In the past, you had to print them out, or had to finagle with them a little bit in order to get to edit them. And after doing some research, I figured out how to make that a lot easier for just anyone to be able to just grab them and instantly be able to edit them on their mobile devices and not have to physically print them out of a printer. Make sure you join the mailing list if you haven't, and you'll have access to this automatically when you receive all the free goodies, which you'll get automatically after signing up. Okay, so once you click the link for the bar sheets, you're going to see something like this right here. It's going to be prompting you to sign into your Google account first, because this is a Google Doc. And that way we don't have to worry about any compatibility issues with different software or different devices. So this is strictly in the cloud. It's not even something you have to download. Okay, so just make sure that you sign into your Google account, and then once you do so, you'll see this. It's going to ask you to copy the document. It's going to make a copy of this bar sheet to your account. So you just click make a copy, and it's going to do its thing. And then what I recommend before you start editing this, what I recommend is maybe opening up another browser and just go into google.com and go to your drive, go to your Google Drive, and you'll see the Google Docs, the bar sheets you just downloaded. And instead of editing them exactly as they are, use this as like a template. So what I mean by that is every time you want to use them, just make a copy of it. Don't edit the original one. Just make a copy from the original one. And let's just say you're working on a new song. I don't know. Let's just say you're working on a song called City Dreaming. I don't know. You could just make a copy, right click, make a copy, and then then you can open up the copy and rename it whatever song you're working on. That way you always have a blank copy of the bar sheets. All right, so let's just say this is called, what I'll say, City Dreaming, something like that. And then boom, you got you a new bar sheets from the original. See, now there's two copies. There's the copy of the bar sheets that you made, and then there's City Dreaming. Let's say you're making another new song. Once again, just go to your copy of your bar sheets, right click, and just go to make a copy, and just call it whatever, once again, the name of your new song is. Let's say you're making a new song called I don't know, Get That Money. You just rename it, Get That Money. And see, now you always have some bar sheets available for you to work off of. Now, one more other thing you may run into is you may be wondering, how can you like restructure the actual song that you're working on, because not every song that you're working on is going to be in the exact song structure like this right here. For an example, every song's not going to begin on the hook. It may begin on the verse, and every verse may not be 20 bars. In most cases it's not. I just put more bars here than you need, just to make it easier for you for editing. But let's say typically this is how the bar sheet will actually be. I've already been playing around with this a little bit. It'll start with verse 1 for 20 bars. Let's say your verse is only 12 bars. You can just go in here and just delete up until 12, right click, hit delete 8 rows. Now you got 12 bars. All right. Or if you mess something up, you can just hit edit undo up here, or you can just hit Control Z if you're on the Windows. I'm not a Mac user, so I don't know the shortcut. Or let's say this doesn't begin with a verse, it starts with a hook. You could literally just go here and just rename this hook 1, and you could just delete up until bar 8, assuming your hook is 8 bars, and you could just right click and hit delete 12 rows, and then boom, you got your hook 1. And let's say you need to get rid of now this hook 1 right here. Highlight and hit delete table. Now you can go down here to verse 2, and usually it works best for me if I highlight from the top to the bottom. That's been my experience. I hit copy. I just come down here to this empty space right here that's created from me deleting the that last hook. I hit paste right here for verse 2. Or verse 1, I'm sorry, I'll just rename it. And so you can, you know, just hopefully this gives you an idea. You can come in here and edit this stuff and make it your own, fairly easy. It's not really that difficult. Yeah, I think this would be really valuable to you guys and gals out there, to help you keep things organized and help you maintain and how you're actually rapping on these bars and these hooks, these verses and these hooks. It can be impossible unless you rap the same way over every song. It can be very difficult to remember exactly how everything fit together. Okay, so hopefully this helps you out. Again, in order to get access to these bar sheets, if you're not already signed up to my mailing list, you can do so by clicking the information little button up there on your top right hand corner of your screen. And you'll be joining my mailing list, and you'll get updates on all the new content, and you get access to free goodies like this, like my bar sheets, my really cool ebook, The #1 Fundamental to Rapping, which takes you over all the basics of how rapping works. So if you're new to rapping, that's something really good to help you wrap your mind around, no pun intended, how this whole rapping thing works. And so yeah, make sure you jump on that. I'm going to be digging a little bit deeper into some of this stuff with bar sheets in a few videos coming after this one, so stay tuned. But let me know if you have any questions, and I hope this is helpful to y'all. All right, so this is Cole Mize of ColeMizeStudios.com, and I'm signing off. All right, peace.